Welcome to Money 911, the space where wisdom meets wealth and love shapes legacy. Today's conversation is about something far more valuable than numbers on a balance sheet. It's about preserving the story of your life and making sure it lives on the way that you intend. Aaron Miller isn't just an attorney, he's a guardian of family legacies, a translator of legal language into peace of mind, and a champion for protecting what matters the most. With decades of experience and a heart rooted in service, Aaron helps families close the dangerous gaps they don't even know existed, turning uncertainty into confidence and confusion into clarity. If you've ever thought, I'll get around to it someday, this is the episode that will show you why today is the day. Let's step into this transformative conversation with Aaron Miller, where love, law, and legacy meet. All right, Aaron, it's an honor to have you here with us today on Money 911.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me here.
Sure. Now, I would just jump into some hard conversations to make them easy. And
Yeah.
you probably have told some people some life altering, news, the hardest conversations that
Yeah.
you've ever had. What is one of those that you wish you could have avoided?
So this happened in my own family, and it's a reason why I have these conversations with people. When I was a kid, my grandmother had a heart attack, and we happened to be visiting them at the time. They lived in Montrose, Colorado, and my dad held her in his arms and thought she'd lost her. I thought he'd
Oh,
lost her. She went to the hospital, and this was back before this was like a 3-day thing, and you'd zip you up and unzip you, mess around with your innards and zip you back up like they do now. Back then, it was she was there for like a month and a half, and everything seemed to be okay when she went home. But about 6 months later, she started developing some memory issues. So she started like putting her slippers in the freezer, or
oh,
putting her purse in the heating air return vent, or putting her keys behind the books, or some variation thereof. Anyways, she started
yeah.
having a lot of problems, and my grandfather had to put her in a nursing home. I'll never forget the call that he gave my dad, and he said he had to put her in.
Mm,
And I know now, because working with clients, that is the hardest thing that somebody has to do is
yeah.
is put a loved one in a nursing home.
It's so
And
hard.
yeah, it's awful. And so that's where my grandmother lived for the next 10 years of her life. And every month, my grandfather went down, and he pulled out his wallet, paid for her care for that month, and did it again the next month, and the next month, and the next month. And then when she passed away, he was good for a couple years, but then he needed care. And by that time, there was no money left. So my dad, my uncle, and my aunt, his children, all reached into their pockets, into their retirement, into their savings, and helped pay for care. And that really wiped out another generation of wealth. And we are still feeling the effects of that today because they don't have the retirement that they had. And so the conversation that I have to have with people is, how are we going to pay for care? My absolute favorite way is, if you can get long-term care insurance, or some of the hybrid policies that have a long-term care rider. That's my preference, because it pays for at-home care, it pays for assisted living, which you can't really get with traditional government benefits that pay for nursing home care. So the conversation is, how are we going to pay for care? And
Yeah.
again, if people would have gotten long-term care insurance, then we wouldn't have to have that conversation.
And we want to have these conversations earlier in life. It's interesting
100%.
because
Great.
both of us are being powered by our family's nightmare. And I think what I saw in my family was, it'll never happen to me. This like
Yeah.
denial that it happens, everybody else dies, but it doesn't happen to me.
Yeah.
And I can even see myself in that now, even with what I know. It has to be really taught to people, like, they were in the mindset that Medicare would cover it, but Medicare doesn't cover it.
Mm-mm.
And
People are
and
shocked by that.
it's, yeah, after all these years, right? I paid into that. And then
Yeah. What do you mean Medicaid does, or Medicare doesn't pay for that? Yeah.
right, right. What do you get? 20 days free, you copay 80, and then you're on your own after 100
Yeah. Good
days,
luck.
right? Good
Yeah.
luck, Charlie Brown. And
Exactly.
we're looking at 7 to 20, $25,000 a month for a nursing home. But you, in our family, you don't want the family to go to a nursing home. You want to stay in your own home
Yep.
and keep your quality of life. So the hybrid, like you're saying, I do a lot of life insurance with long-term
Okay.
care. So you don't
Yeah.
lose your
Yeah.
principal, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. That's the new way to do it. Either have
Right.
a rider on a whole life policy or a an annuity,
Right.
and because the biggest complaint that people had was what happens if I don't use it.
Exactly.
And my comeback was always, you have homeowners insurance on your house. You're not upset every year if you didn't have a fire that year, right? So you're still getting the benefit. But it is nice that now that if you end up not needing it or maybe you don't need the whole thing, you've got something you can give the kids. So
Right.
that is definitely an improvement.
And it's crazy because you're your most valuable asset, right? It isn't your
Yeah,
car and your house. It's you. And
right, right.
in the standalone where you just pay by the month like car insurance or a ripoff, you may think you're
Yeah.
saving money, but you're just throwing it out the window. What is it, Aaron? I think it's 7 out of 10. Is that right? That will end up needing a nursing home after 65. Is that right?
It's something like that.
Yeah,
It is a
it's a
very, very
lot.
high percentage. And you're right. Everybody thinks, well, I'm the 30%, right? I'm
Right.
the ones that won't need it. And in fact, that's one reason why people put off even planning, because it's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen
Right.
tomorrow, but you just never know.
It's the last things that people want. They want to talk
Yeah,
about, please.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
They think if they
It,
make a living trust, they're going to die.
oh yeah, I get that a lot. I get that a lot.
Come on.
I
It,
remember I showed up to somebody's house and the wife didn't tell the husband why I was there.
oh no.
And when he found out, he like became unnerved. And he like, I gotta go check on something in the baby's room. So he was back there, and every once in a while, I would see him poke his head around the corner to see if I was still there. And she told me, yeah, he's in his culture. If you start talking about this, that means you're gonna die. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, we none of us get out alive. So it's a
And you can't judge people because you go to school, you learn how to make money, you get out of school. What do? You go make money, give it to somebody else to gamble, right? And
yeah.
people don't get what they have. Aaron, I've had thousands of people come to my office. It was around year 25. I was like, wait a minute. These people are coming in 50, 60, 70, 80, starting their retirement plan. What is
Oh my
going
gosh.
on
Yeah.
here? Right.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's easy to focus on other things when you're younger. Retirement's
right,
something
right.
someday.
And the living trust, like, that is just like the basic thing, um, that everybody they just put that off to the end, but it isn't an end of the life document, right? It's got a lot of goodies that help people while they are alive, right?
Yeah, one of the advantages of so there's two big reasons to do trust. One is probate avoidance. I tell my clients, I will never tell you you will absolutely never go through probate because it can happen, even with a trust, even if you think you're doing everything right. But the other is if you get sick and become disabled, then the assets that are in the trust can be run by the successor trustee. Otherwise, we have to rely on a power of attorney if there is one. And like I tell folks, powers of attorney have been around since like the 1950s. Trust's been around since well before the 1400s. I think maybe it might go down back to like 11 or
Middle
1200.
Ages. It was
Yeah,
a,
they've been around for
They've
a
been
really
around.
long time.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
fact, that's one of the first cases we have to study in law school, was about a trust from way back.
Way back.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, so trust, they can do a lot of really, really cool things.
And some of the things that people wouldn't necessarily know about and think about, especially if you're 30, 40, you go out to dinner, mom and dad go out to dinner and they'll come back, who's going to take care of the kids?
That's a
So
huge
right,
thing. Yeah.
guardianship, that's a big part of a trust that you have
Yeah, it's
drafted.
certainly we do it as a separate document in our office. But yeah, it's important to have, particularly if you have young
Right,
kids.
people
We do
don't
it as a
think
separate
that.
document. Yeah,
Yeah.
people. Yeah, again, it's easy to put off, or it's expensive, or
Right.
You know, we want to go out to the ball game this weekend, or we're saving for vacation. And I get that that's important too, but this is something that you really need to put some thought into, on how who's going to take care of the kids after you pass, for sure.
You see people, at some of the most vulnerable times. How do you help them make clear decisions when emotions are running high?
Yeah, so a lot of times we'll have family members in with them. It doesn't help if they're all emotional. Well, it does help if they're all, even if they are all emotionally high. You have more brains, more people thinking about it, more people asking questions, so we can get clarity on what it is they want, what it is they need. When I meet with clients, unfortunately, there's a lot of information I have to convey. So it's really helpful if we've got some other people who can listen as well, and get some other people who can ask questions, and just remember 3 hours from now, what was it we were talking about again? Oh
I
yeah, yeah, yeah.
know, right?
But that's
Yeah.
huge. But yeah, there's a lot of things that go into play, particularly if we're talking about putting someone in a nursing home. There's a lot of emotions. When we had to put my mother in a memory care facility, we did it only when my mother started hitting. She was staying
Oh,
with my sister at the time, and you know, my sister understood, but it was one of those. It kind of felt like, I don't. I get the impression she kind of felt like a failure because she couldn't do it.
yeah. Yeah.
And there's a lot of, parent-child dynamics that are going on, things that, maybe if you didn't have a great childhood, you feel guilty. Or maybe if you did have a great childhood, you feel guilty. There's just
Yeah.
definitely a lot of emotions
That that
dealing
emo-
with.
that I think we need to have a course about that because we're not taught how to handle it. I mean, when you look at your mom or your dad, and it's not, or a sibling, that's
Yeah.
not, that's not the same person, and it's
Oh
it's
no.
just a renting of the heart, and then
Yeah.
they can't do the things. It's part of the schoolroom earth journey, but we're not being taught how to handle it, let alone the grief when they go to heaven, right? Hopefully.
Yeah.
That grief part is,
It,
that
it's it is tough all the way around, for sure. It's
right.
hard. It's hard to see a loved one go through that. From the memory care perspective, my mother, she knew it was coming, and she told and this is a lady, very, very smart lady, was a member of Mensa, told my dad one day, I don't want to be a blithering idiot.
Oh,
And um, yeah, it was tough.
ugh,
It was tough to see that for her. But at some point, she didn't know any different. But we still
right,
saw her. And you're right. They're not the same person. You see, almost as a shell of what they were. And so there's
right,
a lot of emotions dealing with that as well,
right.
around, what do we need to do with mom and
Exactly.
dad too. But I found most people, dad can take care of himself. We have to take care of
Yeah.
mom.
Right. Right. Well, it's a wake up call for sure.
Hmm.
Maybe you could share a story of someone that came to you like after a crisis, and how their situation would have been different if they planned ahead.
Oh, it happens all the time, right? So
Mhm.
one of the worst things I hear from people is, well, we put mom in the nursing home 30 years ago, and they told us she had too much money. So we just spent it every month, and now we're down to no money, and so we're ready to apply for Medicaid. And the frustrating thing is, if they would have come to me 3 years ago when they were putting
Right.
mom in, we could have done things a whole lot different, or come to me 8 years ago, when we could have done some pre-planning. I say 8 years because, if we're talking about government benefits, we're talking, for nursing homes, we're talking about a benefit called Medicaid, and a lot of people think that's just for poor people, but really and truly, it's how the middle class pays for care. And there's what we call a 5 year look back, meaning if you've given any money away in the last 5 years, then we'll have to disclose it and there'll be a penalty. You'll have to private pay for a certain time. So if we can get you 5 years before you need care, we can protect so much more. So, yeah, it happens all the time. People just have there's a lot of bad information out there,
It
and
is. It
it's
is.
tough. It's tough.
And you know, having all of this is ahead of time, like, the trust and the catastrophic long-term care setup. It's like love written in legally link, right?
Oh, that's a good. I like that. I like that.
And
Love
I,
written in legalese. That's a great saying.
because when you can change the mindset around it instead of the end, and it just is way more empowering. It's like a gift where it isn't
Yeah.
just a plan or paperwork. It's a love letter, right?
Yeah, it's a way to protect them. There's lots of things you can build into a trust to protect the kids. So we've created trust where we have a beneficiary who's a drug addict, and we don't want to give that kid a lot of money because that's gonna, that's the worst thing you can do.
Right.
And so we created language in there where uh, they have to pass a drug test within a certain period of time, and then they can get so much money, or they have to hold a job for a certain period of time. That's kind of more of uh, very specific to that particular family, but they're not alone, right? Lots of people, unfortunately, have kids with drug addictions.
Right.
But other things, like maybe you just don't like your son-in-law or your daughter-in-law, and you want to make sure that when you pass, they don't get any of your money because as soon as you die, they're going to be dancing on your grave, right? So we can create lifetime trust for their kids, so their kids can still get the benefit, but when their kids die, it doesn't go to their spouse. It goes to their kids and their
Right.
kids and their kids.
Exactly.
And it's a way
Exactly.
to, you know, create a legacy. It's a
Yeah.
really cool way to do it.
So what the silent thief? So what are some of the biggest hidden traps that quietly erode family wealth, and how can people close those gaps before it's too late?
So I think 100% the biggest problem that people have is what happens if you get sick but you don't die? What happens if you need
Yeah.
long-term care? And it's people are just shocked by how much it costs. In Texas, right where I am, it's about just regular nursing home. We're probably looking about $6,000 or $7,000 a month. Memory care is going to be higher. When my mother went into a nursing home, it was just before COVID, and we were paying. I can't remember exactly. I think it was like $7,200 to $7,500 a month. And thankfully, she had some inheritance from her dad that covered that. But it was frustrating for me as an attorney because as an elder law attorney because Medicaid doesn't pay for memory care. Medicaid will pay for nursing home, and you have to meet certain physical requirements for that. And I was waiting for her health to decline so we can move her into a nursing home so we could get qualified for benefits. And unfortunately, she never it was like a 2 week decline and then she passed. So it was a very, very quick thing.
Hmm.
But the I guess kind of to kind of echo what a question you had earlier, one of the frustrating things is she had an opportunity when she retired from the state of Alaska to purchase long-term care insurance as an ongoing benefit. And I don't remember if it was $200 a person or if it was $200 total for mom and dad, but they decided that they couldn't afford it. And
Hmm.
I get the reasoning, but it's frustrating because that could have been paid for
Right.
if we would have had that. And so long-term care insurance or the cost of care is, I think, the biggest drain on people's finances.
It
When
is. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Do you do Medicaid planning all over the country or in certain states?
I just primarily do it in Texas. I technically am licensed in New Mexico. It's a new thing, but
Okay.
we have contacts all over the country. If somebody is not in Texas and they need some help, there's a group called the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, and they can help identify an attorney in your area. Just with a caveat, you want to make sure they actually, just because they're a member doesn't mean they do this on a regular basis. It could be that they're interested in it and they want to learn about it. So you really want to find somebody that has some experience, has been doing it for a while.
It's complicated. The
It very much
Medicaid
is.
planning is very complicated. If you do one thing wrong, you're out. So it's very
Yep.
important to talk to someone
Yeah.
that really knows about that.
If you're a
Um,
penny over when you're trying to qualify for care, then you're
yeah,
not qualified.
right.
Yeah.
You don't want to wait till the person's gone. Right.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know, there's a dangerous, what do you think? I think there's a pretty dangerous assumption about family harmony that falls apart the minute money and property is involved. And it's
Oh yeah.
shocking. I mean, I grew up with you and you're going to sue me? I mean,
Yeah. Oh, it happens
what the
unfortunately a
heck?
lot. I
Yeah.
think, as parents, we wear many hats, and one of the hats we wear is referee. And when the referee is gone, That's one of the things like, mom always loved you more. I remember when I was 3 years old, she gave you the bigger popsicle, and I've never
Right.
gotten over that. I mean, it's things like, really? But that comes out a lot, unfortunately. And you can't predict it. I have people that tell me, well, my kids will never be that way. I hope not. I hope they're not. But my job is to prepare everything in case they are. And so we have a lot of tough conversations for sure.
What is one decision someone can make today that will protect their family for decades? Maybe they don't have a lot of, even if they don't have a lot of assets, say.
I think the decision to get your estate planning done is going to be huge. Make a decision on who's going to be in charge to distribute the assets. How is it going to go? That way, there's no question. What did mom want? Well, we have it here in writing. We know what mom wants.
Yeah.
I don't, a lot of people ask about joint trustees. So, like, I've got two kids. Can I make them co-trustees? And for those that don't know, a trustee is the person in charge of a trust. They follow the rules set up by the grantor, which is going to be mom or dad. Um, so I get asked about joint trustees, and I can do it. I don't like doing it because I tell folks, listen, if one trustee says yes and one trustee says no, the answer is no until the court decides yes. And that can cause a lot, in my opinion, can cause a lot more problems than if we just pick somebody and say go. Now, whether we pick them because they're closer, maybe we've had more conversations with them, or whether they're better with money, whatever the reason is, I would prefer you pick one, just because I think it's going to avoid conflicts more likely avoid conflicts down the road. Not always, nothing's 100%.
Right. If you had 5 minutes with somebody before they become incapacitated, what would you tell them to do first?
5 minutes before they became incapacitated, I would say you absolutely need a power of attorney, if nothing else. We need to be able to have someone that has access uh, to your finances so they can write checks for you. Otherwise, we have to, in Texas, we call it a guardianship. Other states may call it a conservatorship. Otherwise, we have to go get courts involved, and that's a problem. Um, Medical power of attorney would be another thing I would recommend. And then also at least a will. We want to make sure that your stuff goes the way you want to go to. If I had maybe a little bit more time, I'd make sure that their beneficiary designations are updated.
Right.
Uh, One of the issues I had with a trust, we created the trust, and we knew the husband was dying, and I said, okay, are you sure? He had this retirement account. Are you absolutely sure your new wife, this is the second marriage, is a beneficiary on this
Right.
policy? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I asked him three different times
Oh,
at three different meetings. And it turns out, unfortunately, she wasn't. Now, the good news is it wasn't the ex-wife. It was nothing. So we did have to probate. But so if I had a little bit more time with somebody, I'd say make sure your beneficiary designations are what you want.
right.
Yeah.
And I know, and I've seen that happen a few times in the office when they're both there. Like, what?
Oh,
She's still
yeah.
on there?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. It's
crazy.
like, whoa.
I know. It's crazy. That,
Surprises people.
it is the blind spot that breaks families. That's,
Yeah.
really, and that's all we have. The love, that's what we really take with us is the love with for each other and our families. And so it's so important that people listen and take the time to learn about it. Let everybody know how they can get in contact with you too.
Well, they can find me on the web. It's www.aaronmillerlaw.com, AARONMILLERLAW.com. Or they can always call our office, 214-292-4225.
All right. Well, Aaron, it's been a pleasure talking to you and making
Uh,
a hard conversation easier.
yeah, I appreciate it, Kris. Thanks for having me today.
All right. Today, we've been reminded that estate planning isn't about fear, it's about freedom. Aaron Miller showed us that with intention, we can safeguard not just our assets, but our values, our wishes, and the love we carry for the people who matter most. The truth is, life is unpredictable, but your legacy doesn't have to be. Whether it's protecting your children, avoiding unnecessary legal battles, or making sure your care is handled exactly the way you want. It all starts with a conversation and a plan. This is Kris Miller, host of Money 911. Healthy money, happy life. Please subscribe. We look forward to seeing you next time. I've created the Safe Money Blueprint. This is the same strategy that thousands of my clients have used to feel secure about their financial future. And you can get it free at healthymoneyhappylife.com/blueprint. There's so much to learn about healthy money. I hope today's discussion brings you one step closer to securing and protecting your future. So you can get started on the right foot, go to meetwithkrismiller.com and schedule your free financial fitness strategy session. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to Money 911 so you don't miss our next episode, which includes health, wealth, and peace of mind.
Lives inside of